this could be a good combo for the Ravens if we had Lamar Jackson and Antonio Brown together?
Hell no. And let me be very, very clear about that. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the abilities of Antonio Brown, who I believe is all-world. Anytime you go 6 consecutive years with a minimum of 101 receptions and a minimum of 1,284 yards over the course of 6 years, that is just absolutely sensational. And we all know that Antonio Brown is an all-world receiver. I just can't emphasize this enough. He has proven he cannot be trusted. His behavior is too unpredictable. And in an NFL locker room, in any locker room, in any professional sports, you simply can't have that. This is a man that has thrown Big Ben Roethlisberger under the bus, Juju Smith-Schuster under the bus. As a result, it threw Mike Tomlin under the bus. He goes to Oakland. He calls Mike Mayock out of his name and cusses him out in front of the team and told us his behavior is too unpredictable. He cannot be trusted, and you can't take a young star like Lamar Jackson, who is still evolving as a throwing quarterback. He can run with the football. He's sensational. But throwing the football, he's still evolving in that regard. And I'm supposed to trust a veteran all-world receiver like Antonio Brown, as temperamental as he can be, with Lamar Jackson? Hell no. I wouldn't bring him anywhere near the Baltimore Ravens locker room.
But here's the thing. Let's ask ourselves a series of questions here. Should the Ravens give him a job? Nope. Has he earned another job? Does he deserve it? Nope. Would you trust him? Nope. Let me ask you this. If the Ravens were to sign him, should the Chiefs be worried? Because that's a yes. The Ravens should be worried for sure, but so should the Chiefs, and that's the problem. AB will certainly get another opportunity once he gets some sense of awareness. Right now, AB, everyone knows that what you're doing, at least it looks to the rest of the world, certainly looks to me, like you realize, they're not going to give me a job if I don't go through these motions. But people can see you're going through the motions. You haven't bought in.
I got to talk to someone from the Baltimore Ravens, and they talked about culture and how lucky and blessed they were to be with that team, and how they understand about chemistry, how they understand building a foundation, building organizations. And I think they will look at this and understand that the chemistry and the culture and that locker room is built a certain way, and it's built around love and admiration for their young quarterback. A young quarterback that Stephen A. mentioned earlier is still evolving as a passer. We've seen Antonio Brown when he doesn't get his targets. We've seen Antonio Brown when a read is missed and he's wide open, or when there's an errant ball thrown. And so the Baltimore Ravens, when they drafted Lamar Jackson, they said, you know what, we're going to build everything around your skill set. Well, I'm going to tell y'all, Antonio Brown fits any skill set. Antonio Brown, the player, can play with people who can't throw footballs, who can throw footballs, who can't diagram stuff for people to get open, who can diagram things for people to get open. He can do it all. But what's going to happen when he gets upset? What's going to happen when things aren't going his way?
Yo, what up? It's your boy Curry Mac, back with another video. And I had to put my input on this whole Antonio Brown going to the Baltimore Ravens thing. It's crazy to think, honestly. If any of you guys have watched my channel before, I'm a huge Steelers fan. So I'm really gonna try and do a good job of not being biased. Because I was always a huge AB fan. Always will be. It's just because of the circumstances, it's a little different now, obviously. I'm excited to talk about this. I have some very interesting points that you guys might agree or disagree with. Just let me know in the comments. But before we get further into the video, I just hope everyone's doing well with this whole pandemic and this virus. You know, I know it's scary. Let's just keep doing what we're supposed to. Stay at home. For y'all who are working like myself, just be cautious, wash your hands, wash your face, be smart about it, be safe. And if you feel like you're getting sick, just look out and talk to somebody, reach out, whatever, and just be extra cautious. But on to the video, guys. So as we all know, AB was one of the most iconic receivers in like the past decade. he put up numbers that no other receivers have done. You know, other than Julio Jones and maybe DeAndre Hopkins. Michael Thomas is evolving. He might pass every receiver. Who knows? But I think talent-wise, AB was just something special. I was always good at just noticing players while they're coming up. Like Emmanuel Sanders, I knew he was going to be special. Like Pittsburgh just got Deontay Johnson. I know he's going to be a special player, and he showed it his rookie year. And AB, I remember him coming in, late draft pick, and he was just a monster. He was making just incredible catches. The only reason AB really blew up was so many clutch moments, and that's how he really began. And Ben started to trust him, and that's how I realized AB was legit. Now, I know people are freaking out about him going to Baltimore, and him and his cousin Marquise Brown and Lamar were outside playing catch. I don't even know, like, if somehow AB would go to Baltimore, every team in the league is going to be scared. They're going to be nervous. They're going to have to, I don't even know how they would plan for that. I'm kind of going to have, like, some good things if AB goes there and some bad things if he goes there. You know what I mean? Or things that, like, just doesn't make sense to me. So we'll start off with the Ravens offense last year. The Ravens offense was the best in the league. They were first in rushing. First. They had Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards, and then of course Lamar Jackson. And those aren't, like, Mark Ingram's kind of like at the end of his career, but it worked out so well. This whole franchise built this team around Lamar. And you heard it last year, like, everybody was on board for Lamar. They were like, this is the MVP. If you would watch Ravens games, you could hear it in the crowds. Like, it was probably the most electrifying team I've ever seen since I've been alive, or that I remember anyway, in football. It was just insane. And they were just so hot. And I still believe if they wouldn't have had a bye week, like, who knows how far they would have made it in the playoffs. I think that killed their hot streak, and it hurt them a lot. All right, so obviously we know their run game was so strong. Their pass game, I mean, it was decent, but the Ravens wide receivers were only 21% of the Baltimore's offense, which is not a lot at all. Usually it's about like 50%, it's about half. We're in like a passing league now, even though some teams go, are more running, like Titans and whoever, you know what I mean? But 21% is so low for receivers. Tell Lamar, he's more of like up the middle threat, tight ends. You saw them utilize a lot of like double tight ends sets and rollouts and play actions. And Lamar loves to throw across the middle, deep verticals, short crossing routes. If you look at the wide receivers numbers, the best receiver was obviously Hollywood Brown. This was his rookie year, and I think he only started about 11 games. And he was hurt a lot. And that's the thing I'm worried about Hollywood Brown. He's very light. Like, he's so fast, but he's like 180 pounds. I think he needs to just put on weight and get stronger. He needs to hit the weight room, get on a strong meal plan if he wants to last in this league. That's just my preference. He was the best on the team with 46 catches and like almost 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, most of them touchdowns came in like the first couple of weeks of the season. He had like 3 touchdowns against Miami, I think. After that, it really drops off with receivers. Like Willie Snead was second with 31 catches, 330 yards. He did have 5 touchdowns. But those two were the main receivers. And Willie Snead is not really a number 2 any other team. Even Hollywood Brown, I don't even know if he's a number 2. He could play a good slot receiver somewhere, but they had Seth Roberts and Miles Boykin. Like, these guys, they're not really anything, let's be honest. Really had that explosion from their offensive passing was from the tight ends. Mark Andrews was like top 5 tight end this year. He killed it. He had like 60-some catches, almost 900 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That was Lamar's go-to. And then he still had Nick Boyle and Hayden Hurst, which I think that's how you say it, Hurst or something. Lamar loves his tight end. And Baltimore just utilizes their tight ends so well, and it's a perfect scheme for Lamar. He's so good at rolling out, and his throw on the run got exceptionally well this year. Like, it wasn't from day and night this past season, and he's only going to get better. So with those wide receiver stats that I just said, if you would add up all the Baltimore's receivers' numbers, catches, you can add them all up. Catches, yards, touchdowns. AB has surpassed that multiple times in a season with all the receivers combined in one season. AB's done it by himself in a season multiple times. I know people are talking about how, AB's just a distraction. He's going to throw Lamar under the bus or even his own cousin. But I think out of all the teams, it's like such a big hit or miss, because I think having Hollywood Brown as cousin, if things do get out of hand, like maybe his cousin could like hold him down a little bit, let him come back down to earth and be like, make him realize like, look, don't be an idiot, whatever. Or it's just AB and he's got such a high ego, it won't even matter. If AB would come to this offense, this could really just jumpstart Lamar's career, becoming a running type quarterback like a Michael Vick to more of a pocket type thrower and just work on it. AB's a hard worker, Lamar's a hard worker, and by the looks of it, Hollywood Brown's a hard worker. Like, the Ravens really don't have a true number one, and that makes it harder for Lamar. And I think the biggest outcome would be if they do make it to the postseason, and like what happened last year, Baltimore is just, they're not able to run it, they're getting 3 and outs, turning the ball over. If they can get someone like AB where Lamar can trust and get over the top of defenses, or those clutch moments where Lamar really hasn't, if he can really come in clutch or not, we do not know yet. I mean, there's some regular season games where he's come up big and he did a good job with clock management, but that has a lot to do with coaching. I think Harbaugh is actually a phenomenal coach. I've always liked him. The only thing that's hurting Lamar is throwing to the outside, throwing to the numbers, which AB, that's one thing AB loves. That's why they used to call him Tony Toe Tap or whatever. Is because AB will get to the sideline and drag his toes. And if AB would go there, that's something Lamar would have to work on for them to be able to really click. Because AB does some phenomenal comebacks and just out routes and like just deep posts. That's how he beats his coverages all the time. So, and then of course, if you throw to the middle, AB is one of the best at yards after the catch. And speaking of yards after the catch, Antonio Brown's last season with Pittsburgh, he only had about 12 or 1,300 receiving yards. He had 15 touchdowns, but 500 of the 1,200 or 1,300 receiving yards was yards after the catch. So almost half of his receiving yards was all him, just making plays. And you know how scary that sounds? If Lamar can just dump it down to AB and he can just make things happen. He already has Marquise Brown, who's crazy fast, that can just pull safeties back and then have AB come underneath. That's just scary. If you think about it, that is scary. The biggest thing is getting AB for the right price. You do not want to overpay for somebody like this. Now, I'm sure they could come to some agreement where if AB listens and does well, he'll get paid more, or he'll have like a guaranteed. They kind of did that with Oakland and then he screwed it up, Then New England screwed it up again with that whole sexual assault case, screwed that all up. So if they come to some agreement, like AB has to make it to like week 3 or 4 without getting into trouble, which my next topic is AB. He's desperate. He needs something. So he's got a YouTube channel. That might be the only thing that's bringing in money. His rap career is definitely not going anywhere. He try getting into boxing, I guess. That was just a joke. This man is an athlete, and an athlete for football. He needs to get back into it. So I think he's realizing this is where he belongs and he needs a big change. That's going to be the biggest thing, is how much is AB worth and what will AB accept? And if, let's say, Baltimore would get him, would AB be okay with blocking down the field more than running routes? We don't know. We assume it wouldn't go well. So that's one of the big questions we gotta ask, is when AB is told to block down the field, is he gonna block? Is he gonna be able to help out his teammates and be a little more selfless? You know how selfish he can be with getting the amount of targets. Even if he's asked to run routes and is only in there for passing plays, if he's only getting 3 to 5 targets a game, is that enough for AB? We all assume that that's not for him, but who knows, he could change. He might have to change, because in order for him to get back into the league and be on any team, he's going to have to cooperate and just change. And being off for a whole year, is he still going to be the same AB talent-wise? I mean, I have no doubts, but so I pretty much built a whole case on how good Antonio Brown is and how lethal this would all be if he'd go there. I haven't said should he or should he not go to Baltimore. And ultimately, I don't think it would be a good fit at all. I don't think he should. If Baltimore's smart, they would just leave Antonio Brown, go, and just pick someone up in the draft. Or maybe pick just an average receiver and free agent or trade or whatever. I would not spend a significant amount of money for a receiver. Baltimore already has a great defense. Their offense is set. The reason I don't think they should reach for Antonio Brown is, look what they did last year. If you guys killed it last year, why bring in someone who can potentially destroy all that? The only thing I can see positive is in the postseason, when you guys need a big play, Antonio Brown will get you that big play. Will you guys even make it there with AB? He might destroy the whole team before you even make it to the postseason. Or it's just going to be a head case the whole season. A lot of wear and tear on the whole team and drama. It could be drama filled, and I know Harbaugh's not going to take that. So ultimately, I don't think this is a good fit at all for Baltimore. You guys potentially have a run at the Super Bowl for the next 5 to 10 years. You guys have a lot of young players. You guys let me know in the comments what you think, because it's just so interesting. And we know Antonio Brown's going to land somewhere. I think the only way Antonio Brown's going to get to a team is if they're really desperate for a playmaker or a receiver or whatever. And like we all know, AB can fit anywhere, any system. He can do it all. We heard about the Tampa rumors. Bruce Arians said, nah, we ain't taking him. I have a strong feeling Harbaugh is going to be the same way. Who knows where he's going to go, but it's going to have to be somewhere where a team's very desperate, because Antonio Brown's going to have to work to make the money he wants. I'll be shocked if a team pays him real high. So, they're going to have to come to some agreement deal where he's good for a certain amount of weeks or months or days or games or whatever. My answer to Antonio Brown going to the Baltimore Ravens is a nah. Nope. Don't do it. I'm even a Pittsburgh fan, and it's not because I'm biased. Sports enthusiast standpoint, like, it just doesn't make sense for Baltimore. Look how good they were last year. Look how explosive they were. Their run game was incredible. It just doesn't make sense for him to go there. He will not be happy. There's just going to be a lot of conflict, and y'all don't need that. You guys are there for Lamar. That'll distract that whole thing you guys had going last year. You guys were just really good as a team. But you guys might have some different inputs. I have no idea. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. I mean, it sounds great, but we all know, and history repeats itself with AB. So unless he's really changed, we haven't heard nothing in a minute, but But yeah, yo, that's it for the video. I had to talk on it. If you're Ravens fans, hopefully you're watching. Even though I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm just trying to look out. Alright, y'all, make sure y'all comment, like, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Yeah. So, Curry Mac out.